The success of America is not in the Constitution. You heard that right. The success of America is not in the Constitution. Hello, patriots. Wait a minute. Why am I, the father of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the co-author of the Federalist, and the fourth president of the United States, saying something like that? Why would I diminish the importance of the Constitution, especially on Constitution Day? How can I say that our Constitution is not what makes America successful? First, let me tell you a little about myself and the three other presidents of our founding. And while I do that, would you mind if I took off this hat and this wig? I don't need that hat on. I'm kind of a nerd. In fact, I'm the original super nerd. I'm skinny. I never grew taller than a seventh grader. And I'm sick a lot. If I were alive today, I wouldn't be able to leave the house without a pocket protector to keep my quills in. Man, could I have used one of those back then. I like studying so much that I was always dreaming up ways to keep from falling asleep so I could stay up all night to study more, which likely contributed to my ill health. I couldn't even sit to have my statue carved without a book in my hand. And I'm a voracious reader. My friend Thomas Jefferson knew it. So when he went to live in France to replace Benjamin Franklin as our ambassador, he promised me he'd send me books if I looked after his nephew while he was gone. And then there they came, whole trunks full of books, all about the governments of the world. And I read them. And so did other men like our second president, John Adams, who worked with me to write this new Constitution. I wasn't only the shortest founder, I was also the youngest. At 23 years old, I wrote Virginia Colony's Constitution and brought it to the Continental Congress 6 years later to be used as the template for the United States Constitution. It was called the Virginia Plan. By the way, everything worthwhile takes time. For example, if you had been born on the 4th of July, 1776, when independence from Great Britain was declared, you would have been a teenager before George Washington became president. The guy that sent those books, Thomas Jefferson, he became our third president. And since he was in France while the Constitution was being written, he depended on me to let him know how things were going. Now that was a long way to send a letter, and I was pretty distracted and didn't write to him very much. Now he was a bit miffed, as you can imagine, but he got over it. Then there's John Adams, who became president after serving as our first vice president. As an attorney, John Adams was easily my equal in the knowledge of government. He wasn't the most likable man, but he was brilliant, and everybody knew it. Of all the things we learned from studying the governments of history, the most valuable thing was what doesn't work. It was something like how the light bulb was invented. We discovered that pure democracies don't work. They might appear to shine for a while, but they always burn out. That's why we never used the word democracy in any of the founding documents. We didn't use the word democracy in the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson didn't use the word democracy in the Declaration of Independence. And it's not in the Bill of Rights either. When you recite the pledge and salute the American flag, you don't say, "and to the democracy for which it stands." No, it's to the republic for which it stands. We decided instead that we'd have a representative republic based on law. And we must have got that right, because 232 years later, you're still living under the same Constitution, when other countries this old have had numerous constitutions, if those governments exist at all. But as amazing and enduring as this best constitution ever authored by man has been, it is, after all, written by men and interpreted by men, none of whom are angels. I agreed with John Adams when he said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." Now, let's see. I said something about Adams and Jefferson. Now, let's talk about the father of the country, George Washington. How many here, now I mean adults, attended high school? Now, I know that's a silly question, but notice that I didn't ask how many graduated high school. I'm asking you if you attended even one day. If you attended one day of high school, you have more formal education than the father of the country, George Washington. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not making fun of him, and neither would any of the founders. We wouldn't have a country if not for him. Of all the arguments and chatter among us highly educated intellectuals formulating the future of America, our room would go silent if George Washington entered it. His exploits over the most powerful army on earth with the ill-equipped army we provided him was nothing less than miraculous. He was voted unanimously to be our first president. Alexander Hamilton would have made him king. So George needed a lot of help in the ways of government, and I was there during the first term as his most trusted advisor. Think of Washington as the champion, the Rocky Balboa, the Apollo Creed, and think of me, James Madison, as his trainer. After that, when all the taller men had their crack at being president, I got my chance. Of course, I can make anybody look tall. You're welcome, John Adams. Really, don't mention it, please. I was 5'4". Adams was just 3 inches taller, and Washington and Jefferson were both 6'2". As monumental as my becoming president at the age of 54, it was still far from my crowning achievement in life. If I had died at 26, I would have still been among the top 10 greatest founders in the country. The presidency was more an inevitability than an end goal. After I served as president, I went on to serve my own state's government and helped Thomas Jefferson found the University of Virginia. We all knew that the liberties we built into this new government could be used by ungodly men to destroy what we had created. Is history proving us right? It's not so much because we were perfect, but that we were just smart enough to learn from history's mistakes. The greatest of those mistakes was to not first acknowledge the ultimate lawgiver in whom all patriots trust. Because as I said over 200 years ago, the success of America is not in the Constitution, but in the laws of God on which it's founded. I also said, the happy union of these states is a wonder. Their Constitution, a miracle. Their example, the hope of liberty throughout the world. If you don't remember anything about me, James Madison, the father of the Constitution. James Madison, the father of the Bill of Rights. James Madison, the co-author of the Federalist with Hamilton and Jay. James Madison, George Washington's closest advisor. Then you can at least remember that as wonderful as the most enduring Constitution ever devised by man is, and it is wonderful, It is destined to fail in the hands of men who have forgotten him, the God in whom we trust. May God bless you all. May he grant you the virtue that is necessary for America's continued success. God bless America.